Welcome to Bury Talent, the show for young professionals that tears down false beliefs about faith and work so you can unbury your God given talent right where you are. I'm Ken Freire, and here with me, my co host, Patrick Lowndes. And today we're talking about how to move forward even when you're not sure. And Patrick, the reason we're talking about this is because I don't know if you remember this. I remember this being a young individual. I was so concerned from being in high school, having good grades, and then from having good grades, all of a sudden, now going into college and like I have to have good grades and know exactly what job I'm supposed to have and make sure I land a solid job. And the anxiety killed me. And if you've been listening to this whole series, right, part one, we've been talking about the what, part two, the why, part three, the where. The how is the last part of where people get stuck because they feel like they need to know how do they actually get there. They want to have clarity on where to go. And many times I have found some people just don't move because they don't have a lot of clarity and they feel stuck. So how do we address this?
Yeah. Well, Ken, there's some stats I kind of want to start out with. This is one of the most difficult times in history for college graduates to land a first job. So the stats don't lie on this, that it's difficult for people to get into their first job more than ever before. It's not like, oh, phone in that first job because you automatically, you have your degree and just pull a slot machine and boom, I've got my job. There's a lot more people stressing about this. And I like to just give an example from my own story. Like when I was in college, I don't I think people get surprised when they hear this about my background because they know about like the software stuff and oh, you sold a company and investor, blah, blah, blah. But what they don't know is when I was in college, I drove a city bus. And so you might be thinking like, what? Like, yeah, I was a bus driver. I had a class
That's
B
awesome.
PO. I drove those accordion buses. And this is me in like my senior year of college. And some people are like working on their internships and blah, blah, and all these things. And I'm not saying internships are bad. What I'm saying was I had pretty clear vision of what God wanted me to do. And I knew that I could get decent pay with this bus driving gig of all things. But when I graduated, here's what I want to get to certainly there was some anxiety. When I graduated, I was also engaged to my bride Bethany, and I was taking some of the first steps. But I was feeling anxious about like, man, God, how are you going to let me pursue the thing you're calling me to when I don't even have a solid job that's going to support everything? And my wife, Bethany, or fiance at the time, she was trusting me that God was going to provide for us. But I was selling credit card, merchant processing stuff to shop owners, literally walking in like, hey, where's the manager? Where's the owner? Like I was that guy. And so I had some difficult and some kind of shady first jobs to kind of cut my teeth. I mean, Ken, I don't know where this hits you in your story, but that's just a little snippet of like the unorthodox way that I got going in my career and kind of caring about like a very diverse set of people, very diverse skill sets and sales. But yeah, what's been your background?
Yeah, for me, it's I remember working with my dad, just trying to with his furniture business, and then I went to an internship where you and I both met, and I ended up working there for seven. I tell people I worked there for 7 years. I was in ministry, but like for four of those years, I wasn't getting paid. It was like an unpaid internship, and every year I remember thinking, how am I going to keep surviving doing this? But I felt like God wanted me there, and I was learning new things, and I was helping a lot at the ministry that I was working for. So I wrestled with that quite a bit until finally, like I landed a paid position there at the organization, and I wasn't making a lot. It was just like same thing. Like, how am I supposed to provide for this? But the biggest thing I remember, but my story and your story is that like I had to shift my mindset of like we talked about last episode, not the shiny object. I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I had to ask myself, Lord, what do you want me to do? And how can I just take the right next step and move
Yeah.
forward and just discern that right next step? And that was the biggest thing that I realized is that in order for me to find my calling, I can't do it by just sitting around. I actually have to move. I have to do something. And that's how you actually get clarity. For most of you, you're stuck. You're not sure what to do. Just take the right next step. And God doesn't give you A to Z. He typically just gives you B, then C.2, then D. Like that's how he typically
Or
does it.
or like, I mean, just imagine being Abraham. I know we talked about him earlier. Imagine being Abraham and God's like, hey, I want you to get up and go. Like, this just happened for me somewhat recently. I was the company that acquired my startup. I was there, and God was like, "Hey, you need to leave." And I made sure I, spent some time. I had transitioned things over, trained up the team I was building. But man, God didn't actually tell me exactly what I was going to do. And so sometimes that question of how, what's way more important than, what is the step one, two, three? If some of you are like, you love the control of your life and your schedule and your 5-year plan. I had a pastor one time say from the pulpit, he's like, you know what God revealed to me as a planner? He's like, your 5-year plan is none of your business. Like, he just said it's none of your business. And he said, but what is your business? This is it, is giving me your yes for today and for this week. And give me your yes for the next month. That's your business. And are you saying yes, or are you trying to architect something out? And if you're hearing this and you're like a little bit of a control freak, like maybe like me, type A, maybe really go get her a planner, like,
Yeah.
be humbled. You are not Lord of the universe. You're not even Lord of your own universe. Like, stuff happens and messes your plans up all the time. So I think as we think about this question of how should I work out my calling, so important, Ken, just to ask this question of like, God, what do you want me to do? What's the next thing you want me to do? And get good at saying yes there. Because I think if you get good at hearing that, we'll be able to follow him in the bigger tasks and the bigger asks that he puts on us.
Yeah. I love, I believe it's Proverbs 16:3 or 16:5. I don't quite remember, but it says, commit your ways to the Lord and your plans will succeed.
Yeah.
And many times we have that backward. We have it backwards. We think if we commit our plans to the Lord, our ways will succeed. But it actually says commit your ways, meaning commit your actions, commit your heart, commit you, and your plans will succeed. Meaning that like all those plans that we have in play, most of them are always going to move. They're going to shift because God has other plans for you that are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And we need to be at a place where I have found, because I'm control type A, right? Control freak. I tell people I'm a recovering perfectionist. I want to have a plan. The Lord is only going to give you the next step if you ask him for it, right?
Yeah.
The way that happens is that you have to commit your ways to him. It's not just about our stuff. It's not about what we want. It's about what he wants. And when he does that, he's like, okay, cool. I'm going to start showing you a little bit of the plan.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I have learned this ultimately is to say, Lord, I trust that I'm going to work today faithfully at what you're doing. So when you're not sure what to do, right? Like if you're like working, you're not sure what to do, here's some practical tips that I use. Number one, I just work faithfully right where I'm at. Do
Yeah.
everything I can with excellence, with perseverance, with being full of joy. The second thing is that I just start asking mentors and people around me to work together to help me find and navigate my path. And then the third one is community. Like I want to make sure I'm around and surrounded by people who are going to push me to learn more about how God designed me, how God wired me, and also that like they're pushing me to grow closer to him and be more excellent at my job. Patrick, what are some other thoughts you have?
It reminds me of one of my life verses is Proverbs 13:20. It's he who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. So my question is like for you, like if you're listening, hopefully not with your friends or something to point at them, but like who around you is like not that wise? And you should ask yourself, how much time am I spending with people that I'm like, ooh, I don't want to keep going down that path. And the problem with a lot of young people is as we're coming out of the bubble of college into the workforce, is we kind of had this microcosm of people that were in the same stage of life. It's so important to find people 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And part of it, the wisdom in that is you can sort of look ahead into a journey and a career path. I've done this a number of times and said, wow, I really don't want to be in that industry because I don't want to deal with what that guy's dealing with. And so you can sort of look ahead down the path. And actually, that's part of your discernment process. And the how is interviewing people and not just like job shadow kind of stuff, but even just asking them, like, hey, what is it like in this industry? Or what is it like serving the Lord in this sector or in this spot? So those are just a couple of tips I like to give, but surround yourself with people that can help you be more wise. and people that you like look up to, want to become like.
And for some of you who are listening to this, you may be like, Patrick, Ken, that's awesome, but I don't have that kind of community. I don't have those kind of people around me, right? Like, what can they do? And we actually have we have a community that we can work with you guys, and it's a free community. You guys could join it. You guys can hang out. It's called the Frontier Operators Community. Patrick, can you tell people about it?
Yeah, sure thing. So we designed this online community to have some live sessions and kind of talking with each other. But it's designed for people that are in their 20s and their early 30s. So you don't just have a bunch of people at the same age. You can join it when you're in college. But the cool thing about it, Ken, is that we have people sharing their stories, what they're dealing with, what they're struggling with. But also, this is the encouraging part, is what are some of the lessons that we want to pass on to myself from 5 years ago or 3 years ago, like what I would have told myself. And in addition to that, we've got some training. You and I have run some training on the business operator mini series. So it's like a free 10-part course there people can go check out. And then we're even tinkering around right now with some GPTs to help you develop your portfolio. So again, maybe you're early in career, college, or maybe you're in your first real job outside of school, and you're like, I want to kind of build out my skill set a little bit more. There's some ways to do that. And we have some ways to help you with that with the GPT, but maybe more important is the people. It's like, who's in your life, who knows about you. And so our hope and prayer is you're going to find people that are kind of crazy committed to unburying their talent and using it for the kingdom of God. And so, so in addition to like the clarity of calling assessment, you probably already filled out by now. If you're like, that's like, keep mentioning it. I'm like, yeah, because you should do that. It's free. But also finding people that you can walk with that are wise. And some of those people that are there's people that we're going to invite in that are 10, 20 years past us, right? So we all want to be able to learn from each other in that. But that would be what I would say about that, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are listening to this and you're like, I want that community, I want to start figuring out my calling, my clarity, get purpose, be with people who have been down the road you have been. Come join us. Come check us out. All right. This has been the 4-part series of the clarity of calling. Again, check out the show notes, check out the free community, right? So that you can come join us, hang out with us, and ultimately live in a way that you are glorifying God and working within your design. Hope you guys have a great day.